Life Stories of American Presidents. Presents The Story of Theodore Roosevelt, 1858 to 1919. Born a weakling, he fought his way to health and strength and became a strong leader who would one day make his country a mighty power. Theodore Roosevelt was born in New York in 1858. A frail youth, his father encourages him to build up his uncertain strength. All this exercise, do you think it's good for Theodore? Ted is a bright young lad, but brains are of little use without a healthy body. As the boy grew older, he continued his battle for health. By 1880, he completes his studies at Harvard and wins his battle for health. Now, he has a fighting habit, and it helps when he gets into the rough and tumble of New York City politics. We must get the city out of the hands of the thieves and the gamblers that run it. We don't need any silk stocking like Roosevelt telling us how to run our city. But young Ted is elected at 24. He is the youngest man serving in the state assembly. In these times, we must put an end to the high salaries and expense accounts of state officials who do nothing to earn their pay. This Roosevelt is dynamite. We'd better shelve him fast. The fiery young Roosevelt brings a new spirit into state politics. He is elected for 2 more terms. Then, in 1884, good heavens, what a blow. Within 12 hours, young Ted lost his wife and his mother. They say he's a broken man. His life uprooted, Roosevelt heads westward to a Dakota ranch. In that raw country, Roosevelt must prove himself once more. Well, if it ain't old Four Eyes. Come on, dude. If you know what's good for you, you'll set him up for the boys. But Roosevelt is no longer a timid weakling. What a punch! Like the kick of a mule. His admiring neighbors make Four Eyes their deputy sheriff. He soon becomes the terror of cattle thieves. Meanwhile, reformers back east nominate him for mayor of New York City. Always ready for a scrap, the young widower returns to the political wars. But Roosevelt is beaten. Soon after the election, he marries again, and in 1889, he is appointed to the Civil Service Commission by President Harrison. If you take that job, Ted, you'll drop out of sight in Washington. They're bottling you up because they're afraid of your influence with the voters. You're wrong. I could do the voters a lot of good working for an honest civil service. For 6 years, Teddy Roosevelt serves in Washington. Then, after 3 years as police commissioner in New York, he is appointed Assistant Secretary of the Navy by President McKinley in 1897. As usual, he proves hard to handle. $800,000? That's the second time in 2 months you've requested money to buy ammunition. Where is it all going to, Mr. Secretary? The Navy is using it for target practice, gentlemen. Look here. Cuba lies just off our southern shores. The islanders are in revolt against Spain, and our country may be drawn into conflict at any moment. When trouble comes, our fleet must be ready. Mr. Roosevelt, we understand. You can have all the ammunition you want. Then, in 1898, our battleship Maine has blown up in Santiago Harbor. This could mean war with Spain. Well, the Navy is ready for action, no matter what happens. A message of warning speeds across the Pacific to Admiral Dewey off the China coast. And in the event of a declaration of war with Spain, your duty will be to open hostilities in the Philippines. I'll order the fleet to get up steam at once, sir. But as soon as gunfire sounds, Roosevelt resigns from the Navy Department. "But you can't quit now, Ted. We need you here in Washington." "I've always wanted to help the Cubans win their freedom, and I can't ask others to do the fighting while I stay home." Remember the Maine. The country rings with the cry, and Roosevelt calls for volunteers. "It's that fighting dude, Roosevelt. He's getting the cavalry outfit together for action in Cuba. Calls them the Rough Riders." "That's for me. I'm joining up." Border rascals, polo players, cowboys, and sportsmen all flock to answer Roosevelt's call. All have two things in common: a love for adventure and devotion to Teddy Roosevelt. There is little time for training. Within a few weeks, the Rough Riders sail for Cuba. Then, on San Juan Hill, overlooking Santiago, young Roosevelt leads the famous charge. "Come on, men! Take the hill!" The war ends within months, and Roosevelt returns, a national hero. Then, after serving as governor of New York, he is elected vice president to serve under McKinley. "I tell you, Roosevelt is a man of destiny." "Right. He is the most honest and energetic man in politics today." Roosevelt serves only a few months when McKinley is shot. "The president is doing quite well, Mr. Roosevelt. There's nothing to worry about." "Thank heaven for that." Assured of McKinley's recovery, Roosevelt leaves for a vacation in the Adirondacks. But a few days later, "It's a message from Buffalo. The president is sinking fast. I must leave at once." That night, relays of swift horses carry the vice president over dangerous mountain trails at breakneck speed to the nearest railroad, where a train waits to take him to the president's side. But the race is in vain. McKinley is dead. At Buffalo, Roosevelt is sworn in as President of the United States. "He's only 42 years old, the youngest president this country has ever had. I must admit I'm worried. They say you never know what he'll do next." From the beginning, TR is faced with tough problems. Industry has brought great changes to America. Greedy trusts and monopolies are fleecing the public. Early news: beef trust markets tainted meat. Daily Watch: railroad monopoly raises freight rates. Weekly Report: coal trust raises prices, cuts wages. When a coal strike breaks out, the arrogant mine owners refuse to negotiate. The president calls them to the White House. And then, "Mr. President, the mines are our property. You can't tell us how to run our business." Gentlemen, schools and factories are closing. Hospitals need coal desperately. If you don't negotiate with the miners, the government will seize the mines and operate them with federal troops. The strike is settled, but Roosevelt feels that grasping monopolies must be forced to give the public a square deal. The fur soon begins to fly. Commission to fix rail rates. Oil trust dissolved by court. Steel monopoly broken. TR forces beef trust to obey pure food laws. Roosevelt shows his courage in foreign affairs too. In 1902, when the Kaiser's fleet blockades Venezuela to collect the debt, TR calls in the German ambassador. "Your government is violating the Monroe Doctrine. If your fleet isn't withdrawn from Venezuela in 10 days, our Navy will open attack." "I will notify the Emperor at once. I'm sure we can come to a friendly agreement." The Kaiser backs down. The crisis is over, Mr. President. Germany has agreed to peaceful talks with Venezuela. Your threat to use the Navy turned the trick. Gentlemen, there is an old saying I've always believed in. Speak softly, but carry a big stick. But world tensions forced Roosevelt to strengthen America's defenses. Gentlemen, if war comes, our Navy must guard two coasts. To do the job right, we need a canal through the Isthmus of Panama. We've come to an agreement with the French company which owns the unfinished canal there, Mr. President. But Colombia owns the state of Panama, and they're demanding $15 million more than the $10 million we had agreed on. We must have that canal at any cost. Then, one day in 1903, a dispatch, sir. The state of Panama has revolted against Colombia and asks our recognition. That's the best news I've heard in a long time. We must recognize the new government at once and send a battleship to Panama to protect it. Roosevelt is falsely accused of encouraging the rebellion, but he disregards his attackers and goes ahead with plans for the canal. Roosevelt's popularity grows day by day, and he is re-elected by a landslide in 1904. In 1905, his world leadership is recognized when he is asked to help end the Russo-Japanese War. Gentlemen, this war has cost your countries immense treasure and uncounted lives. The world demands that you both make peace. Though Japan and Russia are both reluctant, Roosevelt uses world opinion and his prestige to bring peace, and, as a result, congratulations, Mr. President. You have been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for your work in ending the Russo-Japanese War. The peace itself was reward enough, gentlemen. The Japanese victors in the war now consider themselves military and naval rivals of America. There is but one answer for TR. He sends a powerful American fleet around the world to show the flag. What are those American battleships doing here? It is the Americans' way of saying they are eager for peace, but ready for war. Roosevelt is followed in office by William Howard Taft in 1904. But, with boundless energy, the ex-president sails for Africa and... Splendid shot, Mr. President. But, within 4 years, Roosevelt returns to the political jungle. In 1912, he runs for president on the Progressive Party ticket. One day, as his campaign reaches Minneapolis, an assassin! Grab him! Though wounded, Roosevelt insists on facing the waiting audience. But, Mr. President, you can't speak. You've been wounded. Don't try to stop me. Please, I'll read this speech or die. Roosevelt recovers, but when the election results come in, well, it's all over, sir. You won 6 states, but Woodrow Wilson was elected. Well, at least we fought a good fight. At 54, Roosevelt plunges into the Brazilian wilds to explore a mysterious river. How does he do it? He has more energy than the rest of us put together. And when America enters World War I, a tough old warrior reports for duty. All I want is your permission to get up a division of Rough Riders. I'll lead them into France myself. I'm sorry, sir, but the War Department has decided against any volunteer units of that kind. It's time for younger crusaders to take the field. Roosevelt's 4 sons joined the army. But one day, it's from President Wilson. Our son Quentin, he was shot down over France and died in the line of duty. Roosevelt spent his last years working hard for the war effort, selling Liberty bonds and raising funds for the Red Cross. But on January 6, 1919, the fighting heart of Theodore Roosevelt beat its last. Born a weakling, he became one of the strongest presidents our country has ever had.